piece of low-life journalism, some of the worst journalism I've ever seen, where they took the remarks of women out of context. They implied motivations and drew conclusions for these women who refused to be interviewed by them. They took quotes out of context from her book, refused to put in quotes that were favorable to Donald Trump, trying to portray him as a sexual predator. And so now we see the same type of agenda with the Washington Post. And this last week, when Jeff Bezos was at the Recode conference, he talked about a lot of different issues. I want to talk a little bit about the space issue, but first of all, understand what's going on with the Washington Post. Spent $250 million for this, and that's not much money to somebody who's got as much money as Jeff Bezos does. And it gives him a tremendous amount of leverage in that conference. He said, I bought this small paper, which is basically a colloquial paper. Now, who in their right mind would say the Washington Post was a colloquial paper? It's a national paper, just like the New York Times or the LA Times or whatever. He says, I'm going to turn it into a global paper. I'm going to do that with my money. That's my business plan to do that. Well, really his business plan is to push through favors for himself and regulation. And let me give you an example of this. As I pointed out in this, and now I'm out of time, I did this report talking about how we're at the moment here where billionaires are moving into space, just as we have seen in the movie Elysium, for example, as we talked with Hugo de Garis about the Ardalect Wars. Essential part of this, it's even more difficult to escape the regulatory reach of the government than it is to escape the gravity of the Earth. That's what happened this last weekend. They're changing the regulations for the private confiscation of space. Take a look at that report, Billionaire Space Race, Prepper Bug Out or Global Domination. Join us tonight for the InfoWars Nightly News live starting at 7 o'clock. It's going to be several hours. Join us then.